So you ask me, what is the difference between the electronic tuner and this fork? And why I use this one instead of this? Well, here is the answer. I like technology and I like it when it is used for a good purpose, of course. I'm nothing against technology, I'm nothing against. But, I tell you one thing, this machine here, I play the note, and then here is marked with green light on A, which means that I am tuned at 440. This fork here, which is a metal fork, it has a mark that says 440 vibrations per second, which means this or any other object which vibrates at 440 times in 1 second produces this sound of loud A, the universal A 440. This sound. Now, when I put this thing here, of course the tuner marks A, right? Green light. And then, if I play the string, it also marks that, right? But this is one thing. It creates an advantage and a disadvantage. The advantage is that, well, thanks to God, these machines came. Because before, I remember that everyone was afraid to play guitar because they do not know how to tune it. And I went to someone's home, and then they said, friends or someone, acquaintances, and said, oh, you play guitar? Oh, wow, great. Please tune me this guitar. I have a guitar, but I don't know how to tune it. And people was very afraid on not knowing how to tune a guitar. So those were the time when these silbatos, the small whistles with the tone, were there 30 years ago. And this thing here, it's a great stuff because here now a beginner, anyone can just put this thing and get more or less an idea of tuning. Right? The only problem with this thing, it has several, but as a general sense we can say that yes, it is okay that you tune with this, with electronic tuner. But I would advise, if you want, to get also one of these metal things and start to train your ear. Because here the machine does it for you. But that's why I don't like this thing. In fact, someone gave me this as a present. I never use this. Because I understand that playing in public or when you play in a big band or something that is very noisy environment, this one is very good, and then you can tune just by the vibration instead of from the sound, because it picks the vibration of the guitar, of the string, right? So this is great, but it has many disadvantages. And one is that here you are not tuning, the machine is tuning for you, so you are not training, doing any ear training with that. And I prefer to have the diapason, this, the fork, listen to the tone, and then I put my string in harmony with that. I don't need to confirm if it is here. You can put it in there. It will mark green, as I did now. But you can do it by ear. Your ear is finer than the machine, for sure. The only thing that we haven't trained it yet. In fact, Dr. Robert Carroll, one time in Toronto, Canada, some years ago, he showed me a very sophisticated tuner that was like, say, he said, do you know any of these tuners? Well, this one is 300 times more exact. I mean, in fact, it costs like $1,000 or something. It's a very expensive tuner that has the most accurate precision. Means even when here it says A440, say 440, he showed me how you put this thing here. It says A, and now you put the other tuner, which is like a super fine, a very powerful microscope to watch really exactly very, very small distances of sound, and it was wrong. It was not A440. Really, it needs some very small commas or parts of them to arrive to the tone. So if it is very, very accurate, like that one, like the very sophisticated one that Robert Carroll had, well, that's incredible. In fact, he used it for checking if the guitar tunes well with that, because these ones you cannot trust much. although as a standard thing, this is very good invention, I said, because now everyone can tune his guitar more or less. Generally, it tunes well, let's say. You sound pretty tuned. But the guitar had other aspect, which is your second question, of what does it depends that I can tune well. This is another thing. So number one, I suggest you get the fork, put it there, try to tune yourself with this, and then eighth with the help of the electronic. And then one day you can quit this guy here. You don't need it because the sound exists here. I never use this thing. I play in 440, and I never use it. Look. Not even for recordings. I want to listen to the piano or the band, and then play myself and play actually notes in the fretboard and feel how I sound there to adjust, because there is some adjustment there necessary. It's not such a square mathematical thing. But on the other side, there is big problems with tuning for guitar players. In fact, it is said that guitar player in the parties also they tune too much. Oh man, why you are tuning all the time? I prefer piano because they just keep playing and they don't have to tune like this. Some people say, people that doesn't know about music, but in fact it's true that we guitar players we tune a lot. And there is an issue with the tuning always, means the strings are new, they go down. If the strings are too much wear off, then or too off, it doesn't tune either. Or some strings are even defective and new or not new will not tune. Or if the guitar is wrong also. And when that happens, well, I wanted to watch at the description of this video, I will post how to verify your fretboard. The first thing we need to know to tune a guitar, what does it depend, you ask me, what does it depend that I can tune well? First thing is that the fretboard has to be perfect. Because if my guitar has the fretboard wrong, how I can tune? I cannot tune. It's not possible. And with that is a very easy test of the business card. You put the business card, draw a line on the fret, and then put another, put again the business card on the other fret and draw a line, again like that. You can see the inaccuracies there, which every Spanish guitar has this problem except this brand. And this is started very, not long time ago, like probably was last summer, I think, second part of the 2013, and of course this year, this company changed it to all new fretboard division, which is fantastic. I will post also at the description of this video another video about tuning, because I already explained this, showing the characteristics and the test with different chords that you can play. To know if you are tuned or not, where a guitar will fail to generally to give you the note that it has to give. That's why here in Spain they say this thing that esta guitarra miente. This guitar is lying, they say. The guitar lies. Lies means that it doesn't see the truth. It means that when you are pressing here one fret, say you are pressing this D sharp, right? 8th fret, 3rd string, D sharp. And this has to be D sharp. And if the guitar doesn't tune, this note will not be D sharp, it will be another thing. Right? This is what happens. And that's what it calls guitar that lies, or una guitarra que miente. And this thing, well, the fretboard was wrong for 100 years or more, and nobody checked it before. They just thought, and I included, I never imagined that this can be actually fix the problem forever, as they did with this new fretboard division. We always assume that the guitar is like that. This is the way it is. It's difficult to tune, very yellows, like one day you can play it, the next day you play not so well, and that is part of its nature to not tune very well or to have a bit of problems with tuning. In fact, this is one of the reasons why people that is against guitar, which are many classical orchestra conductors and classical people, mainly against the idea of including this as an orchestra instrument. Why violin and guitar? No. The guitar is the most popular instrument, easy to transport, and many styles can be played on it. Rock, from rock, classic, jazz, blues, flamenco, everything. So it's very polyfaceted, let's say. It's a very flexible instrument to play many styles. Much of that with the violin you cannot do that, for sure. So this is superior, but as it has some noise on it, this also the orchestra conductors criticize a lot. Oh, this is a noisy instrument, or it's soft, its sound is not so loud, and it needs to be amplified, etc. Violin is much more louder. So all these things. But one of the aspects they argue is guitar never tunes. We don't want guitar, because guitar is always out of tune. And they were right. The argument was used wrong, because the guitar should be included also in the orchestra. Why not? In fact, I think Rodrigo and Falla and other artists, composers, they include it in their works. But it's true that the guitars have a problem with tuning, except the Hauser German, who never said he had also the perfect fretboard division. Those guitars never had. In fact, there's so many. He said, how come Hauser has perfect fretboard always? I don't understand the thing. So guitars from 1950, 1930, many guitars of friends of mine has these instruments. And the Hauser guitar does not have the problem, but besides that, every other guitar here in Spain, except this one, has the problem on the fretboard. So number one, if your fretboard doesn't tune, how do you expect to tune? Either with electronic, cheap or expensive tuner, or with the Ford. You cannot tune well, because you will tune in one zone. For example, if I say, if I tune this well, here, when I go on the fretboard, I should also be tuned in other zones, not just in one zone, right? For example, chromatically, I should be tuned all the way, right? Electric guitars tunes very well. Why? Because they have other division. So finally, after more than 100 years of struggle, we got the proper division of the fretboard to be in tune always. Now, if the string is defective, that's another problem. That sometimes, actually, a couple of years ago, or 1 year ago, someone asked me about just strings for practice, and I recommend some strings there. But I check it, and lately, this last year at least, out of 10 strings, for example, the fifth string of Savaret, fifth string, never tunes on any guitar. It does not tune. And there are 9 effective and 1 right out of 10. So I have to say, look, now, then I said that because they were working, but now this company went down the quality, so we're trying to save some money or something. So we don't use anymore this Leonida thing, doesn't tune, or the Savares, which used to be good maybe a couple of years ago, hard to speak, 30 years or 25 years ago, they were very good strings. But the fifth doesn't tune anymore, so I don't use that fifth. So every string, sometimes with the hammer also there is an issue about this tuning thing on the trebles, and it may happen that the string is defective, and then therefore if the string is defective, it will not tune. Now the fretboard, step 1, fretboard has to be perfect. Step 2, make sure that your strings are not defective also. And then step 3 is just play it, because it will tune. It will tune great. If the fretboard is perfect and the string is also okay, it has to tune. Now we did many tests of very strange things, like, for example, we pick a guitar that doesn't tune and has wrong the fretboard. If the guitar is bent, means this one is coming that way, then the guitar will not tune also. That's another thing. Maybe the fretboard is right, but if it is right, which I doubt it strongly, but if it is right, if it's bent, and I will post also the description of this video how to do the test to see if your guitar is bent. By placing just 2 fingers, you can see it. In the description I will put that. So you also need to see that the guitar is not bent. That's the other thing. And then the string has to be okay. And if the string is right, we put strings, defective strings that doesn't tune in a correct, proper fretboard. We put those onto guitars which are bent and have the wrong fretboard, and then it sounds better somehow. So it's also about a matter of habit. If your habit is to listen, suppose I go 20 years playing with the wrong guitar that doesn't tune, then I get habituated to that. I get used to it. So much so that now when I listen to the nice tuning, I don't like it or I feel awkward, right? It's just a matter of habit. So if you are in the habit of listening music or used to listening music very exactly tuned and all that, then you will feel awkward when something is out of tune, right? But if you are used to the out of tune thing, then the tune thing will sound awkward to you. So there is also a part of subjectivity about this thing. But please watch the video about the tuning and the fretboard test with Eden. All that about verifying the fretboard and about how this new fretboard tunes. This is totally amazing. And listen, I have 30 years or more playing guitar, and I have seen everything. So I wouldn't say my father did not live up to this moment. He died 20 years ago. And he couldn't see a guitar that tunes, but in fact, this argument, very knowledgeable people said, yeah, in fact, guitars doesn't tune. No guitar tunes was the conclusion, because it will tune in one zone. The guitar in the past, you try old guitar, any guitar of collection old. You try it in one zone, then try it in another, and it will have some inaccuracies there. Sometimes you forgive that because of the beauty of the tone. That's another thing. But the fact that tuning is an issue in guitar, no, this is true. And these people have addressed that directly and conquered the problem. So they solution it, and there's an excellent job. Yeah, your question is good, because nobody thinks about these things nowadays. You just take it for granted. You should, if you want to enjoy your playing and get a beautiful tone, a beautiful sound, you need to know if your guitar is tuned. How you will be tuning if the guitar doesn't tune, or if the strings are wrong. Right? But problem number one is that the fretboard is wrong to begin with, and then that's why it doesn't tune the guitars. So, or if it is bent, things that will never happen in this band, and that's why I'm so happy to play and record with the new fretboard. Paco saw this last summer, and he said, yeah, this is a great thing. And yeah, I'm very happy to see that. I never imagined that it can be done, actually. So it's an amazing stuff, and it's available to you. So I hope this satisfies your question. Thank you, and I'll see you next time.